Metroid Dread's history as a mythical, unreleased title is so famous that it feels strange just to say its name. There's something very special about being able to play the first brand new 2D Metroid in almost 2 decades. Samus Returns was a welcome revival of the franchise, but its status as a remake meant that we could never be sure exactly how much it was setting the stage for the series' future. I had some issues with Samus Returns, but I was optimistic since most of the things I didn't like seemed to be inherited from the Game Boy original. Thankfully, Dread's opening areas have given me a sense of wonder and joy that I never quite felt from its 3DS predecessor, and the horror-esque approach taken through the inclusion of nigh invulnerable foes that stalk you through the map adds a new layer of immersion that I never knew I wanted from Metroid. Metroid Dread opens as the galaxy has heard a mysterious broadcast that confirms the worst. Somehow the X-Parasites returned. Samus, as the only living being with an immunity to X-infection, travels to planet ZDR to investigate the signal. Upon her arrival, she is immediately ambushed by an unexpected enemy, a Chozo warrior. Samus is quickly overpowered by the Chozo, and just as it's about to deliver the finishing blow, she blacks out. She awakens deep underground, with her suit lacking the majority of its abilities and upgrades. Her AI companion, Adam, soon informs her that he has no idea what happened or how she lost her abilities. As he speculates that the video of the X-Parasite was fabricated to lure her into a trap, he gives her one mission: escape planet ZDR. This chilling and ambiguous intro immediately and firmly sets Dread's tone as a proper horror experience. You don't know what happened to you, and you don't know what your enemy is. The only thing you know is that you are in danger, and the greatest danger around is the rogue scout force sent by the Galactic Federation known as the Emmys. If Metroid Dread is a horror flick, then the Emmys are its monster. These robots wander the map in search of Samus using their strong sense of hearing. When an Emmy is close by, you'll be able to see the range that it can sense you from, and any sounds you make within that range will draw it closer to you. If an Emmy hears you, its vision cone will turn from blue to yellow to indicate that it knows you're nearby and is actively searching for you. If it sees you, its vision cone will turn red and it will start chasing you. From there, your only sensible option is to run away. It's possible to use the melee counter to survive being caught by an Emmy, but the timing is incredibly strict, and outside of the tutorial, I was only able to pull it off once in the hour and a half I was given to play the demo. Thankfully, Emmys can only be encountered in specific areas of the map, which means those areas have been designed around them. This isn't a scripted event like the SAX in Fusion. Emmys have a persistent presence on the map and will always be roaming it until you can get a rare ultra charge on your beam capable of destroying them. Every room has multiple paths that you can use to avoid detection or escape danger, giving you a lot of wiggle room to survive an encounter. Of course, this also means that the Emmy itself has plenty of paths it can take to ambush you. This cat and mouse experience contributes a lot to the game's tone, and I spent the entire demo feeling a strong sense of, well, dread. Outside of the Emmy zones, however, there is still a traditional Metroid game to be found. The depths of planet ZDR are made up of sprawling caverns that branch out into different directions that don't have an obvious path forward. Since my time with the demo was only a fraction of the game, I can't say for sure how well the exploration holds up in the long run. The opening areas feel relatively limited in what they allow you to do, and lack the open-ended freedom found in games like Super Metroid or Metroid Zero Mission. Of course, who's to say that this will remain the case as the game goes on? After all, Super Metroid is pretty linear and contained until you find the power bombs about a third of the way in, and by the end of my 90-minute demo, I hadn't even gotten the Morph Ball. One way that Dread made me feel very good about its trust in the player's ability to explore was the lack of what I like to call sequence band-aids. Those are immersion-breaking ways that a game prevents you from sequence breaking, forcing you to follow the developer's set path. Samus Returns had a lot of these, with the most egregious being yellow goo that prevented you from wall jumping and air vents that would nullify your bombs. A sequence band-aid can feel like a developer reaching out and scolding you for trying to find your own way through the game, and I'm happy to say that I didn't find a single one in my limited time with Dread. While there is a Super Metroid fanboy deep in my heart that's upset that I can no longer wall jump continuously up the same wall, I still feel like Dread is going to be a game that is way more willing to let go of my hand and allow me off the beaten path. Metroid Dread also happens to be the first ever HD Metroid game, and Mercury Steam has put in the effort to make the most of it. Each environment is dense with detail, and sweeping vistas are common in the backgrounds, even in early areas that have a sterile industrial theme. The environments also feel more alive than ever, with visible wildlife and active machinery filling out the scene. At one point, I was startled by a large shadow cast on the background, only to discover that it was coming from two small animals that were fighting each other just out of reach. This was a bespoke animation that only occurred once, and it's moments like this that help bring Planet ZDR to life. Samus herself is also given a lot of personality that helps to sell the drama of her desperate attempt to escape. She never speaks, or at least she doesn't in the first hour and a half, but her animations reveal subtle characterization that gives us just enough to understand her thoughts without having to spell it out. The game's opening sequence sees Adam complain that this mission is a bad idea and she is not getting paid enough for it. But her stoic focus on piloting her ship as the camera frames her eyes with nervous caution wordlessly reveals that she knows just how serious this mission is. Meanwhile, her calm and casual beatdown of a monstrous boss enemy later on reinforces the determination and confidence that Samus has gained through a lifetime of saving the galaxy. It feels promising that my biggest reservation about Dread, that it seems to be more of a straight path with little backtracking like Samus Returns, is one that I could easily be wrong about. I did only play a small section of the game after all, so who's to say it'll be quite as straightforward as I fear. I made it to the second named area of the map without even finding the morph ball, but there were still plenty of paths that required it that I had to ignore along the way. Samus Returns failed to stick the landing for me by effectively forcing you to go back and do a second lap of the entire map when you finally had every ability at the end of the game, and the one chance for Dread to disappoint me is if it makes that same mistake. I sincerely hope that Mercury Steam manages to stick the landing, because if they do, then this could very well turn out to be the best game in the entire Metroid series.